know, Everton, Man United. Ollie's had a tough week. I don't know if you saw the interview, but you could tell by his interview he wasn't very happy with the time of their kickoff and things like that. And obviously, you could tell that he was massively relieved in terms of that result. How do you think? Do you think, firstly, we'll start with Everton. Do you think Everton's kind of good run has already come to a halt, and do you think they're now going to start to kind of struggle and just be where we thought they would be at the start of the season? What's your thoughts on that, Al?
Yeah, I think that will be the case with Everton. I think that they've got some really good players. The James Rodriguez, let me just I said on him first, is that guy is a serious football player, and he always has been. Like, it's not like, oh, look who Everton have got. We all knew James Rodriguez was a baller. But even when he was tearing it up early on in the season, I was still. Did you ever see the stat where you might see the stat, where he said where he didn't do any sprints in the game?
Yeah.
So I just thought to myself, where's the longevity in that? Yeah, you're a fantastic baller, and when things are running smooth like they're winning every game, you can afford to accommodate that. The guy not sprinting and the guy spraying up 30, 40, 50-yard balls all over the place. But when it starts to get tougher, it's James Rodriguez on the sprint back and defend. He isn't, which means you're playing with 10 men. And I just thought to myself, they're tricky one then, because the fans are not going to want James Rodriguez on the bench. So when it starts to get tough, when they're away at Burnley and stuff like that, it's like, oh, why is James Rodriguez playing? So the manager then has a problem, because he's thinking he's not actually that fantastic. We don't see them train. I mean, you know as well as anyone, you've been pro for many years. You know that we don't see you train. We see you play on Saturday, and then we think, is he good or not? Like, without deviating, it's like Eric Lamela. Eric Lamela plays for Tottenham, and when he plays, he's terrible. But I know that guy must be a baller, and he must be training hard at training to consistently pick him, you know. So So with Everton, I just see them just being that team that they beat us first game of the season. They were excellent, and then they played really well against Liverpool when they drew 3-3. Are they just going to raise their games for the big boys? And who knows? But yeah, Man United done a job on them, and fair play to Ole. He's got some really good results this season. And I think that he's got to be backed by the board and the fans. The fans don't want to turn on him. Like, they really don't want to turn on him. They don't want to turn on him. It's like Gerrard being manager at Liverpool and doing bad. They wouldn't want to turn on him. But at some stage, it's like, where are you going? Pochettino's there. Go and get Pochettino to be your manager. I really don't understand. Someone's got to grow some balls and say, bye, Ole. You can have a job in the back room, but Pochettino's our manager now. I don't see it. I don't know why. And I know many Man United fans that secretly really, really want that to happen. But that's my view on Man
No,
United.
I agree, to be fair. Coming to you, Stitches, because I know you love talking about Man United, especially at the moment.
No, I'm Team Ole in.
I thought you might be. How does future look for now? Ole's kind of,
mate, long may it continue, mate. Long may it continue.
Do you think they'll make the top 4?
No, I told you already. They're not gonna. But you know what, right? I love the fact that they get this bounce. They're gonna probably win the next 2 games. Everyone's gonna be like, United are back, and then they're gonna crash again. And that's the sign of instability. That's a sign of a manager that doesn't necessarily. He's out of his depth. Like, let's be honest about it. That's my opinion anyway. I think he's out of his depth. I mean, what has he done to qualify him to be Man United manager? There's certain clubs that are like institutions in football. Right, you don't go there to cut your teeth. You go there when you've achieved stuff, and you're big enough to walk into that dressing room and just demand respect. I don't necessarily see that from Ole. I feel like he's that manager who's everyone's mate, isn't it? And do you know what I mean? And then I don't know. Like, I just don't see him giving them the hairdryer treatment, which they might need once in a while. You know, that velvet steel. I don't see it. But it's not my problem. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy with how things are going over there. Everton, let me just correct you, Al. They didn't really play that well against us. They just assaulted us, right? So let's get that straight. It was. Do you know what? When they started off with a great season, every single season for the last 2 seasons, I've heard Everton fans and people saying, you know what, Everton going to do something this season. You know, they're going to do something this season, and they always usually start off quite well and then peter out. And with Rodriguez, they have got a quality player there, but he was quality 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, what did he really do in that time? And I've always had a question mark about how robust he is as a player. given that he has such horrific injuries that he's had to come back from, and that has got to take its toll on the player as a person,
Yeah, no, it
physically.
does.
And then you're coming into the Premier League, probably one of the most physically testing leagues in world football. I don't see him playing out the season. Like, do you know what I mean? They're going to have to be very creative in terms of his training schedule and how they manage him. Because he's already, missed a few games already from injury this season. And, you know what I mean, with the extra difficult schedule that we've got this year, it's going to be very tricky. But credit where it's due, when you have that first team together that they've put together, very strong first team, and on their day they could take a result off anyone. But I just don't see, it's a squad game now, especially this season, and I just don't see them being there at the end of it. And Calvert-Lewin, he got off to an absolute blinder. But in the Premier League, people work things out. They work you out. And you've got to be able to change it up again, and it takes a while. So, I expect them to come back again, but I don't necessarily see them being as on a streak like they were previously.